Welcome back to the Words from the Nerds podcast. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, on this episode. We have a great one for you today. We did a little bit of talking before this about What If. That will be coming out next week. We can talk about all the episodes and all of its glory. Yeah, I have some housekeeping for y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And you could text us, which I actually have not pulled up yet. And so let's go ahead. Drum roll, please. You can text us on any audio app, website that you use to listen to us. And you can send us some mail. Still nothing. Oh my gosh! When we get that first one, it is gonna be it's gonna be a great day here. But please feel free to do that. Feel free to comment here on YouTube. We'll read it out next week. Any of our thoughts on this episode, next episode, whatever, we will read out for you. You can tell us how much you agree or disagree. Right now, though, focused on the present, we have a great one for you today. We have two great co-hosts with you today. So let's check in on them and see how they're doing. Benjamin, buddy, how was your Christmas? How was your week? How are you doing today, man?
It really doesn't feel like Christmas was just yesterday for us, but I had a good week. Lots of time spent with family. I think within the last week, I think I was with family for like 5 days or something like that. So just lots of, Christmas cheer spread around the Ben household. So it was really good. Nice and relaxing. Got a couple days off of work and whatnot. Crazy that this year is coming to an end. Feels weird that our next episode will be in 2025.
Wow.
But things are good. I feel like I've kept up a lot with releases, just being able to go to the theater and then also all of the different shows and whatnot that I want to keep up with. So although I haven't loved all of them, it's just been nice to get back into a good rhythm with that because sometimes I can fall out of the rhythm, especially with TV shows. So glad to be caught up and where I want to be with that. And overall, just doing great.
Awesome. Charlie, I know we have already talked a little bit this week, been grinding out Marvel Rivals, but I'll ask you anyway, brother. How was your week? How's your day?
Yeah, I've been grinding. You've been bottom fragging, but that's fine.
Hey, I got the receipts, buddy. Oh man, overnight this dude is. Oh man, he's dropping 20 bombs, crazy. Yeah, man.
Hey, bro is good at improving. I'll give him that, chat.
Good at it.
I do good, man. Had a good Christmas. I actually have one of my presents right here. I'll kind of show off. It's kind of cool. It's like a little under desk mount thing. It has little headphone holders. Perfect with my new wireless headset. I've been looking for a place to put it because I just lay it on my desk every night. And it also has power USB ports. Not USB ports that you can actively use with your computer, I don't think, but because it just has an AC power adapter thing on the back. I can charge my phone and whatnot, so.
And charge your headphones.
No, Benjamin. No.
You can.
What
with
a
wire.
silly idea that you would even, why would you even put that idea forth in my head? Because that's just dumb. That's just dumb, man. Because, you know why, Benjamin? I have, there's a battery that's right in here, and I have a duplicate battery. And it charges inside of my little wireless, I can't show you, but inside of my little wireless port here. So why would I need to charge? I simply swap the battery, Benjamin. You'll learn one day.
You got wait. That means you have the Android of wireless headphones, though, because you drop that one, the battery flies out, and you get all embarrassed, right? Oh, my battery's out. My battery's out.
In front of who? In front of who? People like your ass, your little fucking rainbow on the sides of my head.
I think I saw those at.
Nobody cares.
I saw those at Five and Below, so I was just wondering. So.
I don't even know what that store is because I live in the Pacific Northwest, not like a loser out in the middle of the country. Gosh,
I'm pretty sure it's a southern thing.
Oh, is it? I don't know. I don't know, stores and their locations.
I
But
think
I'm good, man. Great Christmas. Um, going into the new year, going into 2025, very excited. Very excited because the year of absolute craziness, week to week droppings of things. Kind of already feeling it now, low key, because like, I mean, we got What If going on, Creature Commandos, Squid Game season 2 just dropped. Um,
You really just say Squid Game
Mr.
season
Beast,
two.
Mr. Beast games.
Oh my god, it's
are we
stupid.
reviewing Beast Games? Let's go. I'm 3
Yeah,
episodes in,
y'all
bro. Let's
are.
talk
I
about
mean,
it.
y'all can. Stupid.
But yeah, it's kind of already starting, and then I'm sure it's just gonna keep going around when like Invincible starts dropping. So
You're forgetting
very
one.
exciting.
You're forgetting probably the most important one. The
No,
Last
I'm
of Us
forgetting.
season 2.
Oh, I mean, yeah. But I've lost. I think I told you guys last week. I've kind of lost hope about like that coming out imminently soon because
Yeah.
White Lotus season 3 is airing soon, and that's one of their premiere shows on HBO, and there's no way they're gonna let
It
that and The Last of Us air at the same time.
it really just like I was talking to Brandon about this because the Christmas games were on Netflix this year. The football games were on Netflix for Christmas this year. And audience, get ready to watch the two biggest eye rolls of the century here. But we were we were hoping that there would be a One Piece live action teaser or anything because we've gotten one thing from Geek Week and it wasn't even like huge. So we were hoping that there would be something like a teaser, a first look at Chopper, whatever. And yet the whole time, literally all I saw them talk about, with the exception of some of the, I mean, lesser shows, was Wednesday, Squid Game season 2, and Stranger Things 5. And I mean, I sat there. I haven't watched Squid Games because I know if I watch it, it's just going to be a hate watch. Just because I don't care to watch it. I know I've heard good things.
What?
I've heard good things.
Why?
I don't know. I just nothing gravitates me towards it. I think, and I told Brandon this. I was like, when it came out, it was so over. It was so hyped that I was just like, all right, yeah, like I'll get to it, whatever. I don't know, whatever. I guess at that moment I didn't want to feed into the hype. And then like you would walk in the mall and you would see like the little like shape heads every like from the little vendors like, and I was just like, yeah, no, I think I'm good. Like that just like I don't know, like I don't know, something about that just left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, whatever. I could not care less. And so I'm just like, really, like all of these other properties, and I'm fully biased. I'm like all of these other properties over One Piece, and
Yeah.
no, and
Yes.
it just
Then no hesitation.
left a bad taste in my mouth, and it pissed me off because it's like it's the same thing with The Last of Us and HBO. Like I'm sure White Lotus is a great show, but it's like just give me my baby, man. Like I don't care about all this other shit. Like I want my show. Give me something about my show and treat it like it's a huge thing. Why the fuck do I care about Wednesday, Squid Games 2, or Stranger Things 5? I get it. That's why I'm just talking about Wednesday and Squid Games. Why the fuck do I care about these? But whatever, it's their moneymakers. They have to set time aside for it, whatever. But it pisses me off because I'm like, I don't care about White Lotus. I just want to see Ellie and Joel again. And it's annoying seeing everything else being
Yeah,
marketed
man.
except for what I want to see be marketed to me. But whatever. Awesome. Well, I'm glad y'all had a great week. Good Christmas. Had some nice gifts and everything. Uh, I think it's time to get into our first piece of media today, and that is none other than Creature Commandos, baby. Uh, let's see. I'll go first, and we can talk about both how we felt about both episodes, just grouped in one.
Oh, you watch? Did you watch today's?
Yeah, yeah,
I know Ben did. I didn't know that you did. Okay.
yeah. We can talk about both episodes. Starting with the first one,
Oh wait,
episode
you talked
4.
about it earlier. I'm stupid. I'm stupid. I just don't listen to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are.
yeah, the
Yeah.
iron
I'm gonna
part,
keep
the
doing
iron
that. Though.
pot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Please do. We love it. Anyway, so starting off with episode 4, last week's episode. Um, I thought it was great, man. I am a I am a sucker for, and I mean we could just jump into spoilers for this one in our reviews. I am a sucker for stories that are told like what happened with Weasel and his backstory. League of Super Pets movie that came out a couple years ago. There was a scene with Kevin Hart's dog. I forget his name, but it's basically like I think he was like the Batman dog.
Ace.
Ace. Oh man, it's not my boy Porkas D Ace. A little One Piece reference. But it is an ace. Yeah, I told you the two biggest eye rolls of the century. They were right on sync. Look at them, little holding pinkies in the park over here. Um, that story.
Holding pinkies. That's crazy.
Stories like that, they always get to me. You know, like the animal that can't stand up for himself, but is always misunderstood. Um, it never fails to get me. And that moment at the end, the episode's title, which is what I said earlier before we started recording, episode's title is called "Chasing the Squirrel" or something like that, "Chasing the Squirrels" or whatever. And he's having that nightmare of the moment where he got framed for killing all of those kids, and she looks to the bride and she's like, "What do you think he's dreaming about?" And she's like, "Oh, probably just chasing the squirrels." And it's just it was so good. It was so perfectly done. The setup for this next or the next episode we're going to talk about and the rest of the season, I'm assuming, with a lot of hijinks going on with Cersei and the princess, what her true motives are, getting us ready for that back half of the season. I thought was all really well done. And so yeah, I had an absolute blast with the 4th episode, probably my favorite so far, and I have nothing but great things to say about it. So I changed my mind mid discussion. We will actually go to y'all two now for your episode 4 thoughts, and then we can circle back to episode 5 later. But yeah, I thought episode 4 was amazing. I love what we're setting up for the back half of the season. I'm fully bought in now. And James Gunn continues to make beautiful backstories for flawed characters, and I love it so much. I want to hear from Charlie.
I mean, I guess yeah, because I watched it last week and I talked about it a little bit on last week's episode without like spoiling it or anything. I loved that episode, man. Like that was I was I think as Aiden said, I was fully bought in after watching that episode just because I never expected that from Weasel, I guess of all things. Like a very they've done a good job, I think, of painting him as a very violent and out of control animal kind of character on the show, and it seemed like the things that he was experiencing maybe didn't always, I guess, seem like he was fully deserving, but it did seem like he was, I don't know, not there because of an understanding. Like it seemed like he earned his way there for sure. And so to see the way that he did get there, and that why he was in Bel Rev and why he was eventually part of the Suicide Squad and now the Creature Commandos, dang man, like that's so unfortunate. And I obviously like James Gunn is really good with writing sad animals and sad stories surrounding animals or animal-like characters like Weasel. But I also, jumping off of Weasel a little bit, I think that this episode also, or not this one, but episode 4 last week did a good job of transitioning the mainline story to a much more compelling note. And it's something that we talked about early on in this series, like we said, and which I guess it isn't entirely proven true yet, but like the princess was not good news. I guessed that the princess was going to be evil in some capacity early on. So like that's not that shocking, but still like it's nice to actually finally have the ball rolling and hopefully get a, not that I'm racing to the resolution of it all, but just to find out the, I don't know, the culmination of everything is it seems much more exciting now that there's this idea of mistrust with the princess, but now Rick Flag is questioning that and the validity of it, and he's going on his own quest to do that, which is continued in this week's most recent episode.
I hate that, by the way.
But yeah, huh?
They make, and we'll talk about this next episode. I don't know. I felt, and I'm excited to hear y'all's thoughts. I felt like they made Rick Flag's character look like such a bitch with that decision, dude. Such a massive bitch. But we'll talk about it when we get to the next one. So continue.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, but yeah, it seemed like I guess a strange note to end. That's an issue I think I have with a lot of the Creature Commando episodes so far. I feel like they're just so short, and I get it's like an animated format; they're not meant to be long, but a lot of them just end off in a spot where I don't expect them to. It just seems very abrupt, which is fine. Like it's a show; it's going to continue next like week to week, but with this Weasel one, I think it was the shot of them in the helicopter flying to Kazakhstan or wherever it is, and it seemed like I was about to get a little bit more. I don't know. It didn't seem like that was and then even tonight's episode or today's episode, I kind of felt the same, but obviously we'll talk about that when we get to it.
I really liked episode 4. I think I share a lot of things that you guys said. Um, just when it comes to how James Gunn crafts these backstories. And I shared, I think, last week that one of my concerns was that we were just going to go episode to episode and, focus on each one of the characters and our overall story wouldn't progress very much. So I think episode 4 struck like a really good balance, even better than the one focused on GI Robot. Um, and the little bit that we did get of that backstory was just very, very well done. So all of that, I feel like, was deeper and more emotional than I would have expected from a character like Weasel. And I mean, they really went for it, like having, the backstory of a bunch of kids dying in an explosion or because of the fire. That's not a very light-hearted thing to go for. They really committed to that, but I feel like that was the right choice given what they were trying to set up. Um, and yeah, just as a whole, just a really good balance between the backstory and then progressing our current day story. I think one of the things that I get curious about with backstories like this is like I get curious where they're gonna take Weasel in the future now that we have more understanding of his character. Like, is he going to get redeemed? And are we going to see a tame Weasel who has more control over himself and can be just kind of a playful animal? Um, because like if we got all of this backstory and then, we're just gonna see him murder a bunch of characters for the next couple episodes and then they just leave it at that. I feel like that would be a little bit of a waste. Like the point of showing us the backstory should be that we can understand the progress that the character is going through, at least in my opinion. So I hope that there's actually some fruition with that and it's not just kind of oh, here's some emotional backstory and then, we kind of neglect it. But as a whole, yeah, episode 4 was very good. Definitely the best so far. I do think that the length is something not that I have an issue with, but just my preference would be that it was longer, especially since, we've talked about What If, not on the pod yet, but well, I guess we've mentioned it or whatever. The fact that What If those episodes are 30 minutes long and then Creature Commandos is 20 minutes and I don't know, it does feel like we're getting a little bit gypped, but I think I've adjusted to it. Not that that's like a good thing, but like Charlie, you said you were surprised when we were in the helicopter and then the episode ended. I kind of like knew that that's where we were going because of how short these episodes have been the entire time. I do wish that we got a little bit more, but I don't know. It's not like a huge negative. It's more just like if it's good, then of course I want more of it. Um, but I don't really think I have any issues with episode 4. I feel like the first couple of episodes we were kind of hesitant on the approach that they were going to take to the show, but I feel like episodes 3 and 4 have just like fully brought me in to where things are headed. So I'm very much looking forward to the rest of the series now. It makes it seem like an even better choice that they did a 2 episode drop at the start of the show just to kind of like get past those, and then now every week I feel like it's been a heavier hitting episode. So I feel like that's been a good approach. But yeah, I was a big fan.
Yeah. That takes us to episode 4. And I'll start.
I
And
think you mean 5, brother
Five.
man.
You silly goose boose bitch.
All right, Charlie's officially banned. Everybody, this is his last episode. All right. We'll snake order it.
Oh, man.
So,
Oh man, that fucking sucks.
Aw, shucks.
well, you could probably use the time to get better at rivals anyway. So, life of the best. Anyways, we will snake order this. So after my thoughts, we can head back to Ben's. Episode 5, I thought was also very good. Very good episode. I've heard amazing things about episode 6. And I think what we're leading up to confirms that episode 6 might in fact be a banger. And we can end this season off with a strong final stride. But yeah, I thought episode 5 was awesome. Got introduced to some crazy stuff, some crazy concepts, some crazy characters. We could go full spoilers right now, or just do our round of small thoughts and then get into it. Up to y'all. I really don't care.
You're talking, bro. It's up to you. What you talking about?
I thought you were
yapping
running
away,
this
man.
thing.
Yeah, come on, bro. Do you?
You gotta set the tone. Where's the confidence?
Every great soldier needs a great backup squad to lean back on. All right, so
He had to use the kind of word to just place us back there behind him. You know, we had to make sure we were below him.
How's my back looking, boys?
Remember, you just asked for my permission to do something. Don't forget that, buddy. Don't forget that.
When I asked your permission, who gave you the permission to say something before the episode started? How we start with that? Full spoilers. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. If you don't want to hear spoilers, skip to, I guess, the next segment. 3, 2, 1. I thought it was awesome to see Clayface. I have tons of questions about where we go from here. Not only the rest of the season, but also the DCU as a whole. So I will circle back to that after everyone's thoughts are out. But yeah, I also want to pose a question at the end concerning the princess and Cersei's abilities. But the episode was great. I had a blast with it. I love this little like not a game of telephone, but like who's telling the truth and who isn't. Like, what side are we supposed to take? Are we supposed to assume that the princess is a threat and that we need to take her out, or that Cersei is probably playing some mind tricks here and that the threat is contained already and that you can use her to get more information out of? And so I think that's a lot of fun, especially with the creature commandos just like just basically being pawns in all of this because Rick Flag is running the show and they're just doing what they're told to do and fighting back whenever they need to fight back. And so I think that's a really cool concept to mess around with. You have this firing squad that's just going to listen to their government, but the government doesn't know who's right and who's wrong and how to use them. So I think that's really cool to explore, especially with this group of characters, especially with Clayface now being in the mix and setting up some potential implications for the DCU as a whole. And so yeah, I thought it was great. I think the move by Rick Flag to I don't know, to just fall in love with this princess after a hookup and a couple of flirting moments, to just completely and utterly assume that she's okay, and he has to send the creature commandos out to go back and protect her, or whatever it is they're doing, has to split up from the group and go do whatever he can to prove that she's innocent because of a hookup and some flirting, I think is an ultra bitch move. And I think they made him look like such a pussy with that. I have to call it how it is. So if he is dead,
hold on.
What?
Say it again. I'm sorry. Say it again. Hold on. I'm just I want to make sure I'm registering it right.
All right. Turn those Android headphones up, all right? So, Cersei showing Amanda Waller the future and showing her, look, the princess could be bad news. This could be bad for us. Y'all don't know what y'all are messing with. And Rick Flag automatically being like, oh no, I gotta go find this out on my own. She's innocent. There's an innocent life out here. And just abandoning post to go and try and prove her innocence. Looks like a bitch. Looks like a bitch. Combat me. Say what's on your mind.
I don't think you could be more wrong. Like, I don't. How does
Tell
that make
me.
him look like a bitch? How does that make? Well, okay, let's look at it like this. He's going against his established post, right under Amanda fucking Waller, right? And he's going against whatever her orders are, which are to kill the princess, and he's going out and finding proof on his own. Exactly like his son was going against orders that Amanda Waller gave Peacemaker in Suicide Squad. So how is standing up for something that you think is unjustified? How is that a bitch move? Huh?
Because how is he standing up? What is he standing up to? Amanda Waller? By going behind her back and leaving his group?
Well, he didn't even go behind her. He with his full chest said, "Nah, this is not the thing to do," and she benched him. And so now he's taking shit into his own hands.
I still think it makes him.
She benched him.
I still think it makes him look like a bitch.
See, when you first brought this up, I thought you were saying the fight against Clayface made him look like a bitch. And even then, if that was the case, I'd still be like, bro, that's fucking Clayface. What are you talking about?
No.
but
I mean,
this one, I think is even less warranted, if I'm honest with you, man.
I don't know. I mean, it's a very human thing, to go and try and prove the princess's innocence. But the way he's just like, oh, but you have no idea. Oh, but you can't, like, what over
only
some
thing I'm kind of like with you on is like, I don't see it because I feel like this is more motivated by his potential love interest that he has with the princess.
Well, and they even harp on it with Frankenstein, and whenever they sit and have that conversation, and that's why I'm just like, so you're doing all of this. Like over this, and this is just assuming. Well, and because you said it earlier, you said, oh, maybe the pen is gonna drop, the other shoe's gonna drop with the princess, and I mean that was another question I was gonna bring up later, which who do you think is right? Like, do you think the princess is bad news, or do you think Cersei and Gorilla Grodd are just playing mind games with them? I was gonna ask which one you thought was right, because I mean this is assuming, okay. assuming Cersei is like, bro, y'all have no idea what y'all are getting into, and the princess is bad news. Yet he's shielding all of that potential danger away because of a hookup that they had. And that's where I'm like, that's such a bitch move, dude. Like to just like
Okay,
abandon
Aiden,
everything.
what's the alternative? Should he have gotten his command from Amanda Waller and then led the creature commandos to kill her? Like
I mean,
what else should happen?
I mean, it depends on whose side you're taking. But that's the thing.
Well,
He's
I
taking
guess
her
I
side
don't
because
see
he's
the
in love
problem
with her.
with that one either, Ben. Like, what would be the problem?
Exactly.
With
I
that?
mean,
Like,
you
are you
take
saying
her
that we wouldn't
out.
have a show then if that happened, or what?
I'm saying I don't think it would make sense for his character and how they set up the show if she gave the order and he's just like, all right, sweet, and then pulled up with the creature commandos and killed the princess. That would
Well,
not, that doesn't
why
make sense.
why do you say that? Because I feel like at the beginning of the show, especially, he was a very like when the princess was coming on to him, he was like, I'm very like a very professional. Like, he takes his job seriously. He knows what he needs to do. He knows what he has, like the steps he needs to take. He knows the bounds not to cross. Granted, he does end up crossing them eventually with her in the bathroom that night or whatever. Um, but I don't know. It seems like a very like straightforward guy to me. I do think it lines, as I mentioned, it lines up with like how whose son was, and I'm sure his son learned it from him, kind of thing, about standing up for what you believe is right. Sure, but I don't think it would have been entire. My only issue with it is that if he's doing it because of his
Thinking with his dick.
mind being clouded by, yeah, exactly, that kind of,
And
my only issue with it is
that
because I don't buy that as like a character, an aspect of his character. Like, I don't think that
it's
that's.
just, I mean, I don't know. I guess we haven't gotten too much except for just seeing his son in another project to be like, no, Rick Flag would stand up for innocent lives. But it's like, I mean, I don't know. Like this is, which I mean, this isn't a good example, but I'll
Well,
say it.
well, at the same time, like, that is, I do want to clarify, that is what their job is, right? That is what Amanda Waller and the agency Argus, is this Argus or is this something else? I don't know, but that's what they're meant to be doing. I do want, like, that is, they are here to protect people and protect the world, and they just go about doing it in maybe not so ethical ways, but
I mean, yeah. So just him thinking with his dick, and that's how I took it. Is that he's like, is he really wanting to go protect an innocent life or an innocent life, or is he literally going behind her back doing all of this shit? Like, is he really going behind her back doing all of this shit and doing all this investigating, literally getting killed for it, for one innocent life? Like, is he really doing, or is it the person that he's doing it for? And like, even then, it's like, bro, after one hookup on a mission that you were on, like come on, like that's kind of a bitch move, like kind of. And then to get your back broken in by Clayface, I mean, you look like even more of a pussy. And that's where I was like, all
that's
right,
crazy.
Rick
That is a
Flag.
crazy thing for you to say, bro.
I'm like,
It's
all
fucking
right, Rick
Clayface.
Flag. I added
Dude,
that.
Batman himself struggles with
I
it.
I added that in to just piss you off because you said that's where you thought I was going at first. But no, but like
I
seriously,
do
man,
think
like
also. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, man.
but I was
This is
letting
the
you
Aiden
go,
Hernandez
boy.
show. I forgot, bro.
I was
I
letting you
forgot,
go. I fully shut my mouth.
Um, I the thing I do really enjoy about it, though, as far as maybe not the writing for Rick Flag per se, but I do think that they're doing a really good job of the back and forth as far as the viewer and what they believe is concerned. Um, with last episode having that doctor that we follow in this episode now, that doctor backing up the theory that she can't make up, what I can't think of the word, but she can't make up seeing the future, the things that she sees. She can't just create them out of thin air. Like, there's no backing, scientific backing for that or whatever. But to come find out now that that doctor was killed by Clayface, and Clayface has been pretending to be that doctor. We don't know how long Clayface has been doing that. We don't know if now Cersei had hired Clayface to do that, and so now that is she actually can make these things up, and the doctor was just saying that so then we can get the princess killed, and then Cersei can come to power in Kazakhstan or whatever it's called. So I do think that writing aspect is being handled very well, and it's keeping me engaged in that way. And I didn't sort of see that coming. I kind of saw it as cut and dry, and I thought Rick Flag was going to find out that he was wrong. But I do like that they're playing with that. I will
Yeah.
also add.
Yeah, and besides everything that we just went back and forth on, I will praise that, and I do like that a lot. That the question of, well, who does the viewer believe? Like, what do y'all think is going on? Like, who do you think is behind this? And even down to like, well, how long has he been the doctor? That could have been the real doctor, and it could be the print. Like all of this back and forth, I think is so cool and so fun to play around with. And that's why I said earlier, the fact that the creature commandos are literally just there doing what they're told, and they have no idea any of this is going on, I think makes it that much better because they're literally all just killing machines, and like on go, you can be like, go take out the princess, and they will take out the princess. And so it's just a matter of, well, what does the government think is actually going on here? If you fully believe it's Cersei, then their job is done. But if you fully believe it's the princess, no matter what you say, they will act on it immediately and get the job done. And I think that aspect is really cool because it is just a matter of whose voice is the loudest in this conflict. And I think that's really cool. But Ben, please tell us your thoughts on episode 5.
I really liked episode 5. I like that we kind of had a change of pace from the previous 2 episodes to focus more in on the story, which is good because I feel like the first couple of episodes, like, not a lot really happened when it comes to the actual plot. Um, like there were hints of it moving forward, but it was so character heavy, and so now it feels like we're actually kind of getting to the meat of the show, which isn't a bad thing. I get that we're like halfway through, but as I've thought about it more, the whole idea of creature commandos, it's like it makes sense that there would be kind of this scatterbrain story where they're just like sent on to one mission and then on to the next and bring them back and whatever. So I originally at the start thought like, what's the story going to be about? But I think I've focused less on that, which has allowed me to enjoy things a little bit more. But I am glad that things are kind of ramping up with the story and with our characters and whatnot. I guess, I mean, we still did get backstory this episode with Frankenstein, quite a number of scenes with him. But that felt very necessary because we haven't seen him for a couple of episodes, and it was very helpful for, where he ended up. I like his character in general. I feel like James Gunn does a good job of writing different social dynamics and how people interact or the way that they speak and perceive things within a conversation. And so Rick Flag is when he's talking to Frankenstein, Frankenstein will say something and it will kind of throw Rick Flag off because he's not used to conversing with somebody in that way. So I always find that dynamic interesting, just the different personalities of the characters. And yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I don't know that I have anything else like specific that I wanted to touch on. I do disagree about the Rick Flag stuff. What I would say is I don't think the alternative makes sense where he gets the command from Amanda Waller and then just, goes along with it. And like, regardless of what you say, like at the start, how he seemed like a very cut and dry, follow orders type of character. I think the show has set it up where we know that he has some sort of emotional connection to the princess. Yeah, it's also physical, okay? We can acknowledge that. But it's also emotional in my opinion. Like am I wrong that he had
Well,
been
that's what I'm.
wanting to call her in episode 4 previously, like he was trying to get a hold of her, or did that
Just
only have?
because, or
Yeah,
like just to talk to her, or was it to warn her?
see, that's what I don't remember the exact timeline. I know that I know that he tried to reach out a couple of times, but when it was urgent, the second time it happened, he was able to get a hold of her. And the first time, I don't remember if it was after he knew or before he knew or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like they've set up that they have some sort of at least caring relationship where he wouldn't want any harm to come to the princess. Um, but I mean, that's just kind of up to interpretation, I guess. But I don't really see it as a crazy thing that if the order is to kill, of course the creature commandos are going to follow that because they're waiting for Amanda Waller to point a finger and they'll go and kill whoever. They don't care. That's their job. But for somebody like Rick Flag, it's different. I mean, the parallels to the Suicide Squad are definitely there, or even just Peacemaker. Peacemaker was um, kind of dealing with the consequences of killing people who were technically innocent. With I don't remember. Did the butterflies have any sort of specific name in Peacemaker? I don't really remember, but like when there's a family who were taken over by the alien species and he was kind of conflicted on that. Um, and the idea of is it always right to pull the trigger when your boss points the finger? I don't know. Um, so I do feel like that's been kind of a consistent thing of even though the creature commandos can be seen as kind of these ruthless, they'll do whatever, kill whoever, which we also see in this episode. Rick Flag is still human and has emotions. He's not a monster. He's a reasonable person who's put in charge of these characters. So that's where I kind of see it as like they established a connection, so I don't see that he would easily follow those orders um and allow her to be harmed. I think he would try to stop that. But I like the episode. Um cool action scenes.
Oh
I
yeah,
like that
very
we got to
cool.
see our characters kind of go rogue a little bit, especially is it Dr. Phosphorus? Is that his
Yeah,
name or
yeah.
something? Yeah.
Dr. Phosphorus.
He had some really cool scenes when he phased through the tank. Yeah. That was really cool. So,
Oh.
um it was a fun episode. It progressed the story and then yeah, the backstory parts I thought were really really good and I was kind of surprised by the end of our backstory section. Like once we see what ultimately happened, I was a little surprised by it, but I think it makes sense given his character because he, from the very beginning, has always been like, I want to give people what they most want. And in that case, it was literally like, oh, she doesn't want to be alone. So I'm going to free her from this world so that I can leave and then she's not alone. And he doesn't view that as like a terrible, horrible act. In his mind, he's like, he's giving her what she wants. So very brutal, but very interesting way to teach us more about his character, which I think fits well given his origin with the bride and whatnot and what we had already seen. So, yeah, I liked the episode. Very much looking forward to just 2 more weeks, which is crazy. Crazy to think about.
Um,
Bummer. It's a bummer. I do
uh,
want to talk about Clayface. Me.
no, well,
Shut
that's
up,
fine
shut
because
up,
that's.
shut
Well,
up.
I was gonna bring up Clayface's importance for the DCU later, so go for it.
Okay.
And
Um,
one more thing.
just it's strange to me what we know about the Clayface movie and seeing him here now, because a rather large point that we know about the movie right now is that they're not going to be treating him as a villain, whereas seems like kind of a villain right now. So I don't. Seems like seems kind of weird, but I mean, obviously we'll see how it goes. But I do think it's cool to see him now. Sure. I still am standing by what I said though about introducing someone like Clayface with their own project before the
Batman.
Batman himself. But
Well,
whatever, you know.
go for it, because I actually
No, I was.
that
I
was
mean, that's
it.
pretty much like. Yeah, I'm enjoying the fact that we see him here, and like obviously I think he's really well done. I think it was a cool introduction to the character, but obviously I just have questions, and I know we don't know much about the film right now of Clayface. It's still 2 years away, or a year and a half away, but I don't know. It's just seems strange. Seems strange is all.
Well, I mean, there was two things, and like Clayface being one of them, but there's two characters that were talked about, or I guess talked about and shown, and then appeared in this episode, and that is Clayface, who was talked about in live action, and then appeared in this episode, and then Gorilla Grodd, who was on the newspaper in the Superman trailer, and then showed up in this episode, both being in the DCU. Now, we touched on Clayface and like his importance to the DCU now that we've seen him here seemingly working for Cersei, and then which it's so much funnier thinking about him being like, "What do y'all know about Themyscira?" And it's like, no, it's lesbians, and like the whole time that was Clayface. It's funny to think back on that. But we have all that with Clayface, but then pictured right next to the princess was Gorilla Grodd, who, again, I'm not the greatest with DC stuff, but I think he can control minds, right? Like, he's just like a super advanced gorilla. Again, I don't know too much about him. I just know from Injustice, playing Injustice. But he was pictured next to the princess and was also shown in the Superman trailer. So there might be a universe where this could be the first big bad for the Justice League. And I just thought that was really cool to see Gorilla Grodd pop up twice this week, along with Clayface, both being parts of this new DC universe.
Yeah, I bet you think it's cool, bro.
I mean, it could make sense with the if they're sticking to this chapter one gods and monsters thing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I thought it was cool to finally see them pop up in a DC project, and especially because they were both talked about this week, outside of the show, and so some pretty cool stuff. DC is just doing a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm glad that you know Creature Commandos is here to even just sprinkle some of that stuff in here while we wait for the next projects like Peacemaker and Superman. So fun things going on over there. Fun things going on. All right. Well, that is it for Creature Commandos episodes 4 and 5. We are jumping into our next piece of media that we're covering, and that is a movie that came out earlier last week. That is The Thumbnail. Probably the title, most definitely will be the title because I make the titles, and I am putting that bad boy in there. And that is Sonic 3. Benjamin, let's go ahead and hear from you, buddy. My good old pal. Charlie, you're last. Benjamin, let's go ahead and hear from you, my buddy.
Oh man, I'll start spoiler free.
Yeah.
So I guess just a couple general things. I think this movie is great, and I think that it took the things that worked about the first two films and it just highlighted specifically those. My biggest problem with the first two films is the imbalance between stuff with Sonic and stuff with just human drama storylines that they bring into it. Like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, even though I really enjoy that movie, everything to do with the wedding and all of that, and I forget which Wachowski, but I think it's like her,
Sister.
is it cousin or sister, I guess, yeah. With her sister and all of that. Like, yeah, I understand that it's there mostly for the comedic effect and also apparently for some old children focused YouTubers to pop in there for a cameo or whatever. But that always was like the thing that annoyed me is you're going in between those scenes and then really cool Sonic stuff that you want to see more of. And so when it's Sonic, I feel like the first two films are pretty good. It's just that there's so much else that draws away from it. And so I feel like in this third movie, they found a really good balance. I don't want to say it's perfect, but it's really good. It's mostly focused around Sonic and also Shadow. And there are some human elements, but most of the human elements is Jim Carrey, which like I'm perfectly
We'll
okay
never
with getting
complain
Jim
about
Carrey.
that. Oh my god.
Yeah. Um there's definitely still that a little bit of a weird balance just tonally because you cut to scenes where the jokes are a little cringy and
Konichi,
you're always going
what?
yeah, you're always going to get that a little bit with it, but this definitely felt like the best balance and it really does feel like they said, "Oh, this is what people like about these films, so let's not even try and add anything else. Let's make, Sonic and Shadow the center of the story." Um, and then I think Shadow might be the best addition to this entire series so far. I found his character to be way more interesting than I would have thought. And not that I had any huge expectations for it, but I don't think they did anything crazy with Knuckles in the second film. Like there's a couple of good moments, but it's not like they do anything insane. Whereas I feel like Shadow's backstory and how he fits into this story in this movie was a lot more compelling and interesting. On top of the fact that it's like Shadow's just a cool character and Keanu Reeves spot on. Like I remember that being fan casting when Sonic 2 came out and there was the post credit scene with Shadow's reveal and it works in my opinion. I didn't know if it would work. Like from the trailer, we only got a couple of lines and I wasn't convinced, but I think he's great and I really do hope that he's a central part of things moving forward because I really did love his character. Um, so as a whole, just like kind of a blast to be honest. Like just a very fun movie, and then also just the best aspects of these three films. And it's not like it's not like it's an incredible movie, but I think they're really honing in on how to do video game adaptations well. And I will not be mad if we keep getting a Sonic movie every 2 years for decades to come. Like that will not upset me in the slightest. So
Yeah.
big fan, favorite of the three. Shadow was great. Very fun time.
I'll go second because, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know where this is headed with old buddy boy over here. Um, See, Ben, you said you wouldn't say it's incredible. Um, I will say it's incredible. I mean, this is literally my second favorite movie of the year. I had an absolute blast with
No
it.
way.
Dude, I
Bro says
loved
dirt blowing down the sidewalk is incredible. This means nothing.
I loved
This means nothing.
every second. My turn to talk. Get your thumbnail making ass back in the basement, all right? I think this was the
I just had to
best.
pull up Letterbox to see.
I literally just did that right now. It's
I just had to pull it up.
it's genuinely one of the best movies I have seen this year. It is incredible. It is phenomenal. It is beautiful. All three words I said in my letterbox review. I was already a huge fan of the first two movies, and Ben. I mean, we've literally. I mean, this is not the first time that me and you talked on camera was for Sonic Two, and we both shared a lot of our pros and cons with the movies, things we liked, things we didn't like, and we're both on the same page right there with our problems with the first and second movie. But again, like you said, I think this one struck a perfect balance of having minimal human drama being in the mix, but when it was there, it was for all the right reasons, and it all worked so well with Sonic and Shadow being what I always forget the phrase that people use, but it's not two sides of the same coin. Maybe it is. Yeah, Sonic and Shadow being two sides of the same coin, and their human drama clashing with their paths and the stories that they're trying to tell when these two come face to face, and how Shadow is just basically Sonic if Sonic wasn't taken in by the loving humans that he found, and I really like that a lot. I think that contrast is so great, and they execute it so well in the movie. It makes those emotional moments even more emotional. It makes those moments where Sonic and Shadow are just sitting down talking, and whenever they're like yelling at each other talking. I think it's all just done so well, and that human aspect being kind of used for a greater good this time around is one of the main reasons why it works so well for me. Because I already love the movies with that stuff added in. So if you use it to tell a compelling backstory between them two and to show how they are the same person, just gone different paths, then you have a phenomenal movie on your hands, and that's why I like it so much. This was also the most anime shit that I have ever seen, and I was eating up every single second of it. Like, there were moments where I was literally shifting around my seat, like hitting Brandon's brother next to me, and I was like, this is insane. Like, these fight scenes are insane. And just some of the stuff that they had the balls to do in this, my God, man, I literally cannot wait to talk about it, because it was some of the coolest shit I've seen all year. I wouldn't say this was the most fun I had in theaters, because Dune 2 still came out this year, but it is one of the most fun times I've had watching a movie this year, and I cannot praise this film enough. I genuinely had an amazing time from the minute it started to the minute it ended, and I think some of the quotes in here, star still shines even though it's what did he say? Something about the star shining? I don't know. I ate that
Really
shit up.
memorable, huh?
I ate that shit up. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say, but I didn't think that was right. I don't know, man.
Even if
It's
gone. I don't know.
yeah, the star's still shining even
gone.
after it's gone. Like, it's just such a perfect line to encapsulate all of what brings Shadow back. And so, yeah, thought it was great, man. I had a blast during this. Um, I just think it's a phenomenal movie. Yeah, literally one of my favorites all year. I haven't watched a lot of 2024 movies, so before anyone starts to get pretentious on me. Oh, and guess what? I also haven't read the Odyssey. So go ahead and throw that. If I'm just triggering everybody, go ahead and throw that in the YouTube comment section and the fan
So,
mail.
Aiden, what is your rating of the movie?
5 out of 5 stars. I mean, easily.
Okay.
5 out of 5 stars, easily.
I was just gonna say I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars,
Whoa.
and I see that to me
Whoa.
is like that's a pretty good Sonic movie, but
I would have thought that you
um,
were gonna be like, this was phenomenal, like, because I know how much you love the first two Sonic movies, and then you're like, yeah, 7 out of 10. It's like, well, what? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like for Sonic movies, I can have a love for them, but then, I don't know. It's hard to find a balance with that. But I was going to point out that right now the Letterboxd average is a 3.6 out of 5, which is very strong. And the other two films are at like basically 3.0 even. So
I mean,
people are kind of more on board with your rating than they are with mine, but
well, I mean, yeah.
um
Even after the movie, I've seen a lot of people praise it, and I even saw some of it before. Obviously, we talked about like the Rotten Tomatoes score and some of the critic reviews. I mean, afterwards, I was just like, yeah, I get it. I get all of it. Like, this is just my perfect like popcorn movie. Like it's equivalent to how like for me at least. I'm not saying this is for y'all, but it's equivalent to how like some of the really strong Marvel movies were for me, where I'm like, yes, I mean for a superhero movie, this is great. I give it 4.5 stars. And it's like, yeah, obviously you compare that to like a Dune 2 and you're like, oh, they're both at 4.5. It's like, well, yeah, Dune 2 is obviously the better movie. It's fucking phenomenal. But like for a superhero movie, I love this much. Um, I just, yeah, I absolutely love the movie. It's great. It's everything I could have wanted out of a Sonic 3. It is the best of the trilogy. These keep getting better film by film. Keep this going. Keep expanding on all of the lore you have. I thought it was great. I had a great time. Keanu Reeves killed it. Everyone in this cast killed it, which is crazy because it's almost all CGI, except for Jim Carrey, who was also phenomenal. I mean, he's just great. It's almost like we're playing the same character in a movie. It's so great. But like even like the CGI dude is phenomenal. Like there were so many moments where I was like, how do they made this over the span of 2 years? Obviously, we're assuming because Sonic 2 came out 2022. How does this movie that is almost like what 70% CGI, dealing with 70% CGI characters, or just like one actor playing the same character, how does this look better than some of these movies that have um, more time and more budget to put into their CGI, and it comes out looking like shit? Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't know. It just blows me away. But I thought it was great. Even down to how great the CGI looked. So yeah, wonderful movie. I had a blast with it. Harley, give your thoughts.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
I'm just getting ready for it.
You've reached your limit on talking.
Anyway, so Ben, I guess he reached his limit. Ben, me and you can go into spoilers. Go for it, Charlie.
Oh,
Please
wow.
prove me
Oh,
wrong.
wow, man. That's crazy, bro. You ever think of you guys?
Hold on. First,
You-
first, tell us how you fully felt about Sonic 1 and 2. Because you haven't told us that yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, now go ahead with whatever you slick shit you were going to say.
Well,
You
I was
guys
just gonna
ever-
ask do you guys ever feel like you're just in like an echo chamber? Like you guys just have the same stupid opinion?
Bro, you gave it a 5 out of 5. I gave it a 3.5. I think we'll be closer than 8
Hey,
and
man,
9.
I didn't hear anything you disliked, though. You gave it a 3. I didn't hear anything you disliked. Ain't that crazy? All I heard was glaze,
So
glaze, glaze,
stupid.
glaze, glaze. That's all I heard from you, Benji.
So
Ain't that
dumb.
crazy? Sonic 1 and 2. Pretty good, enjoyable stuff, man. I obviously I think one of the things I pointed out to you as you were talking about Aiden was the CGI. I thought the CGI for Sonic was very good. Sonic 2 even more so. Like the gigantic. I feel like it's hard to make something like the gigantic Eggman robot look good, but it
That's-
looked damn good.
That's
It looked
exactly
really good.
what I was talking about when I brought that up. Like that was the moment when I saw it. I know you're not talking about Sonic 3, but whenever I saw it come out of the water
Mm-hmm.
in Sonic 3, I was like, dude, this is insane. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. And even like the inside of the Eggman robot in Sonic 2 looked really, really good. I don't. I love the. I think Ben Schwartz does a great job as Sonic. Um, Maybe like a little bit too high of a voice than I ever like really imagined for Sonic for myself. Or not even imagined. Like there are games where Sonic talks, and I've just never. He's never had like that high of a voice, but I don't care that much at the end of the day. That's like a nothing complaint, really. He still does a good job with the character, so I can't be mad. Idris Elba as Knuckles, really good. I don't know who plays Tails. Do you guys know who plays Tails?
It is the voice actor from the games.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember
Okay.
hearing that. Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Does a good job for sure. Uh, you know, I think I said this in the voice note to you guys. I've never been a huge fan of Jim Carrey's shtick. You know, it's never been my
I agree with
cup of
that.
tea exactly. But with that being said, I do think he does a good job in the Sonic movies.
Yep.
Sometimes stupid cringe, and the specific moment I mentioned was Earth is my home turf, G, or he says that thing to Knuckles or something like that. That and which I think that's purposely supposed to be cringy, sure. But there's just the other elements of that throughout the entire trilogy. But you know, I think the places that they go in these movies, the set pieces in these movies, are really good. I'm glad. Without, I don't. No, this isn't a spoiler for the third one. I'm glad that they kind of took a departure from having the final act take place in Green Hills, for once. I do think that like they don't obviously through in each movie they don't shy away from going to other places, and I think that that's great. San Francisco in the first one, Seattle in the second one, and then like also the snowy mountains, and then also
Represent.
Hawaii. But you know, speaking of the CGI, actually, I want to also point out that jungle temple under the water in the second one. Also, really good stuff. Looks really good. I think I'll jump to the third one now.
Oh, my heart is literally pounding, bro. Like I'm like literally anxious.
I don't know what you guys think of me because I mean I think it was a good movie. I don't know. I
Yes,
don't know what
Ben.
you guys-
Yes, yes.
5 out of 5. Let's go.
I don't know what you guys think of me, but yeah, Keanu Reeves. I actually I like I liked him as Shadow, but I didn't think he did like a crazy good job. Like I don't know. Like it. I don't know. It felt flat, but obviously Sonic or Shadow isn't like a vibrant character by any means with tons of like range to give. Sure, but I love Keanu obviously, but I don't know something. It just didn't feel like it was all that fantastic of a role from him. With that being said, oh my God, man! Just the handling of his relationship with Sonic and everything, as Aiden mentioned, two sides of the same coin. I thought that was very very well done. I love the familiar relationship between now with Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. I even, to an extent, care about I forget his name, but the dad character. Tom, yes. I even care about him to an extent, and they made me care about him, and I'll talk about that later. And even Jim Carrey, man, getting twice as much Jim Carrey in this movie, I still found a way to enjoy it somehow. The laser scene being a highlight for me, surprisingly. I
Yeah.
actually really enjoyed that. I don't know why I did, but I did. It was a delight to see Jessica Jones in this movie. I didn't know she was in this. That's cool. She's barely in it, kind of, but you know, still, it was cool. She actually had more than I thought she was gonna have. Again, with the set pieces, they went to a bunch of different places in this movie. Went to Tokyo right off the bat, and then
So good.
abandoned mountains facilities and all that kind of jazz. I'm big on, you guys know I'm big on like character and building a character a certain way. And I think that they did a great job with both Shadow and Sonic in the way that they handled their familial relationships and whatnot. Little bit kind of just that classic old like, oh, I just want to destroy the world kind of villain type. Not so much depth there. They added a little bit of it with like his reasoning for it, and I did appreciate it, but it was at the very like tail end of it. Like we knew he was building up to something, and yada yada yada. And I don't want to say what it was in terms of for spoilers sake, but I did appreciate them adding the little tidbit in, but it also just seemed kind of like blow past. Like it was a point that didn't really matter. It seemed like little. The only time that I thought the CGI was hokey and bad and stuff didn't make sense was with Jim Carrey at the end. That's all I'll say for spoiler's sake. But yeah, I think the stakes were ramped up. If people have issues with I don't know, big world-ending stakes and giant beams of light in the sky, I think that this is kind of like this is an example of that. But I don't think that I've never had too much of an issue with that. I think that that's just generalization, a stupid generalization of a lot of films, and without looking at the actual substance within them. And oh my gosh, man. The one scene.
You can get into spoilers.
It wasn't just one scene.
You're the last.
I guess because I'm the last
yeah.
one talking about it. Yeah. Okay. From here on, there'll be spoilers. So thank you guys for listening and watching. But oh my god, man, Sonic and Shadow fighting. First fighting each other. I felt Sonic's just absolute sheer anger towards Shadow. Oh my god, that's what when I'm talking about how I felt for Tom, and like that moment of Shadow watching Sonic nailed over Tom. But then what I didn't like was that it didn't seem like Shadow cared. Like he just did the same thing that somebody did to him, and I feel like he would care more about that than he did in that moment. But whatever. It's just, oh my god, it was so good watching them beat the shit out of each other. And everybody talks about the one shot from the trailer of Sonic backing up, getting ready to punch, and like in the trailers it's just regular Shadow. And then in the movie, like obviously it's chaos infused Shadow, which is really cool. But then even better to watch them fight together, jumping off of the moon and flying towards the gigantic flying Eggman machine. What a fucking moment, bro. Like, I thought, like Sonic has always, I've always cared about Sonic, but he's never been like a mainstay character for me. And I didn't think that I ever really care that much about these films. But dude, talk about a moment. Talk about a moment where I just felt sheer childhood joy. Like, man, they get me. They got me, you know? But the CGI thing that I was talking about was with Jim Carrey fighting Jim Carrey, and them using like the robot, like he got praying mantis hands and that kind of thing. But again, I'm not a stickler for CGI. I don't think that should be a serious point against a movie whatsoever. But also, I found it so funny to me that he got kicked off of this bridge that they were fighting on, and he was hanging on. But he literally 2 seconds ago just flew as a praying mantis with metal praying mantis wings. Like, just fucking fly back up. Like, what are we talking about? But it's a good movie, very good movie. I can't say that I'm ecstatic for ecstatically looking forward to the fourth one, but obviously I'm gonna be there now. I think is the difference that has come over me in the past week of experiencing the Sonic films, is that now I will 100% be there for the fourth movie, and I won't hesitate and put it off. So yeah, man, Sonic 3.
Oh yeah. I guess a couple quick things that I want to get some thoughts on. when I saw the trailer for the movie and they have that scene that ended up taking place in Tokyo, when we are like 20 minutes into the movie and we're getting the Tokyo scene, I thought that the Tokyo scene was like the final battle scene between, Team Sonic and Shadow. I thought
Oh,
that was
really?
going to be like the big thing. Um, so that like really threw me off because then I thought like, oh, have we barely seen any battle? Which ended up being true just because, they didn't want to spoil what was going to happen. But I thought that was really cool. And also it allowed us to get like, that action scene in Tokyo was unique just because Shadow had um, the bike and whatnot, which was really just
Him,
sick.
dude.
Him Akira sliding.
Yeah,
Oh
Akira sliding
my
up the build,
god.
dude. That was insane. I don't even care.
Oh,
Like, I'm not a big like. I don't care about the Akira slide necessarily. I don't think it's like that cool of a movement. But doing it up a building and then off the top of it, that's fucking insane. Oh
No,
my
he just,
gosh.
yeah, Shadow just had that dog in him the whole movie.
dude,
Um,
seriously.
and then the other thing, I think you might have mentioned this, Charlie, when you talked about the first couple films, just at some point in the last couple weeks. But you were hoping that they incorporated more music into the third movie, I think is something that you had said, unless I'm completely misremembering. But like music from the games specifically.
Oh,
And
I
there,
think that I don't think I would have said that because I did catch on to, and the theme song like it was playing lightly in the first two movies like they've done that before. So I don't think I would have said that, but I don't know potentially.
well, I was actually going to bring it up because I agree. I mean, I think
Oh,
there there doesn't feel like there's an abundance of music from the games when it feels like it could be used more, which is also like a lot of people said that about the Mario movie as well. Like we have a vast library of games with amazing music such as like Super Mario Galaxy or some of the more classic ones, and instead we're bringing in, pop rock music like it's a
yeah.
James Gunn movie or something. Um, so with this movie, I kind of thought that as well, except I did think that the music choice for Sonic and Shadow when they launch off the moon was perfect. It was amazing choice.
That had everybody that went to the movie with Brandon, his brother, his friend, like that had them all going crazy. And that was one of the moments where I'm like, man, I really wish I did grow up with these games and I did play them a lot as a kid so that I could appreciate that a lot more. But then there's other moments where I'm like, man, I have no idea what's coming next. I have no idea how this ends. I have no idea if Sonic and Shadow are going to team up, which, seeing as last movie, obviously, I thought maybe there was going to be a chance where they do. And so, yeah, some of those moments are really so cool. I yeah, them fighting across the world and just like going to all of these random places, and even that moment where they're at like man, I forget the landmark it's called. My fiance actually has been on a trip there to take pictures, and she like visited that place. I think it's in Greece, and that's the only reason why I know it.
Stonehenge.
Maybe,
Stonehenge.
I don't know. But she was
Was
like,
it the is it the place from Transformers: The Last Night?
I couldn't tell you, buddy. Like, I
Are you talking
just,
about like the
where this,
pillars,
yeah,
the
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, I only know because she was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been there before," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm locked in right now. Like this shit is insane. And I think it's shadows like floating over Sonic and looking down at him, and like the sky is like a purple, red, yellowish, and I'm like, dude, like I was literally in awe at like how gorgeous it all looked, and literally how anime all of this show. I told him, I was like, that was the most anime shit I've ever seen. Like both of them getting the Chaos Emeralds and just both powered up to all hell, just going ham at each other, and then sitting down on the moon and having Shadow be like, "Go ahead, get your revenge," and Sonic just being like, this just isn't who I am." Like I've let this take over me, or take control of me more than I ever would have liked. And just seeing Shadow in that moment, like seeing the realization hit him, where he's like, but like, why wouldn't you? Like, you just had everything ripped away from you, just like I have, and like, look what I did with it, and look at how I'm enacting my revenge. Why wouldn't you do the same thing? And just having that heart to heart with them right there, sitting on the moon, talking about how a star still shines even though it's long gone. I mean, it was just awesome, man. It was genuinely so awesome. The sickest fucking dap up in media all year. Just the boom, boom, and they just, oh my god, man, it's so sick. It is so sick, and it was some of the coolest shit I've ever seen. Yeah, I couldn't get enough of that third act. I saw someone post a meme where it was Sonic drawn like all like goofy, and he was like, "Konnichiwa," and then the next one was him like powered up, and it was like, "The fuck did you just say about Tom?" And like, I love how he locked in and just never like got back out. He was just locked in all movie. It was fantastic, man.
And then Aiden saw the
Charlie-
post-credit scenes, and he was confused.
Hey, but she showed up. Your girl showed up. You tried to quiz me on.
No, I didn't try, boy. I did. I didn't try to
All
quiz
right, hey, just put the heels on my health bar, bro. All right, just put the heels in the health bar.
Charlie, I was gonna say, because I brought up Keanu Reeves initially. So what I was meaning to say is that not that like Keanu Reeves gave an incredible voice acting performance, but that he fit Shadow more than I thought he would. Like he fit the character very well. Not that it was anything, unexpected or crazy, but that I wasn't completely sold on the trailers that, he was a perfect fit. But by the end I was like, yeah, this is a great choice for Shadow.
I'm actually surprised there was no like fourth wall joke about how he sounds like Keanu Reeves, given because I made a point in the voice note I made about the Sonic 1, because there is a scene where they're watching, I think it's Speed, the Keanu movie, and how much he loves Keanu. I figure there would be given the fact that they did almost like we're two characters played by the same actor, given that especially too, I was like, oh dude, there's 100% gonna be some kind of Keanu reference in the movie, but there wasn't.
Well, it
I
also
think they
did.
even mentioned the movie Speed again, though. I think. I could be wrong though.
There was a couple of references, but I don't remember.
It there also weren't like a ton. I mean, obviously there are some, especially just like even though just like the fourth wall break and the Akira slide, but there weren't a ton of like over the top references. I mean, Sonic 2 has lots of them. Me and Ben actually broke them all down. Aspire Entertainment Podcast. Please do not go and listen to it because I am horrible on it. But like even Sonic 2 had a ton of pop culture references, and I don't know. This one, I guess I didn't see a lot of it, but again, I shouldn't say see a lot of it. They weren't like outwardly stated or like over the top. And so, and again, that could just be because like I was so overwhelmed by how strong that third act was, or it could have been intentional to where it's like this is the movie where they cut a lot of the human drama out, cut a lot of the fluff of like, the kid stuff, and they truly just tell a badass Sonic and Shadow movie, a story for a Sonic and Shadow movie. But I don't know if that's so much me or maybe what they intended to do. The world may never know.
I think they were just kind of like, as the movies go on, they're getting a little bit more refined. They're keeping a lot of the same team and the same director and whatnot. So I think they're able to read what works and what doesn't, and also probably an increase in budget as well. So they're able to fully commit to just more of, let's have 80% of this movie have CGI characters in it for like, entire scenes, which is a big thing to commit to, but I think that's probably what it is, which is really exciting moving forward because I mean, I don't really know where they're going to go with the next Sonic movie because for Sonic 2 to Sonic 3, it's like, oh, they tease Shadow, we're getting Shadow. Whereas I feel like with this post-credit scene, it's like, okay, we know we're getting Amy. Great. Like, that's exciting. We were all expecting it, whatever. But I don't know that the Metal Sonic tease is actually like I couldn't tell if that was a tease or if that was a means to introduce Amy or if we're going to get some sort of connection with like where she's from and where all of the Metal Sonics are from. I don't really know. I don't have like a clear like okay, they're setting this up. Whereas Sonic 1 to 2 to 3 was very like pretty simple progression of they tease the next movie and then they pay it off. Whereas now I feel like it's a little bit more ambiguous of like where do we go from here, which is good because I didn't want them to fall into a rhythm, and we might have even talked about this at some point, Aiden, of them not falling into that rhythm of just like, okay, let's just introduce the next character that's going to be the villain in the next movie, and then a couple of years later we get that. Oh, let's tease another character. At some point that gets old, so
Yeah.
they couldn't have just teased Metal Sonic and then left that as like a cliffhanger of oh it's going to be the villain in Sonic 4 and that's literally it. At some point, they got to do something else. And I like that they've left it open and it doesn't feel like they are locked into anything. We don't really know what to expect from the next film, which I think is good that they're leaving it more open.
Yeah. Again, forgive me, but I don't really know what the lore is in terms of the hierarchy of Sonic villains. I don't know where Metal Sonic lands on that spectrum. So I'm gonna say something. I might sound completely out of my element, which I am, and you can correct me as follows. Where maybe this is just a 2 movie stretch of the villain of Metal Sonic, whereas Sonic 4 we don't get him immediately. We don't get Metal Sonic immediately, which is why we have the tease and then Amy show up. And then Sonic 5 is more of a okay, Metal Sonic is here. But again, if there is a villain bigger than that uh, on that list, then maybe you'd save it for like okay, this is Sonic's last villain. He's gonna be in which this one isn't. I mean, it is a trilogy, but it doesn't really feel like a trilogy. They just feel like movies that lead into the next one. I don't know if there's a different word for that, but I mean, hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. Where like this wasn't like a final anything. It was just like okay, we had Sonic 1 leads into did it lead into Knuckles or yeah, cuz well, I can't even
I
remember.
think Tails was the big
Tails.
tease.
Yeah.
That's what I
Tails,
was
yeah.
thinking. And then we get Sonic 2 and then we lead into Shadow. We get Sonic 3 and we lead into Metal Sonic. Um Whereas maybe Sonic 4, 5, and 6, it could be an actual, okay, we have this one villain and an overarching story between the three. Or we just get Metal Sonic next movie and then we get the next villain. I don't know. So, I mean, you feel free to critique me however you see fit.
Metal Sonic, I do not think would be a 3 movie villain.
Okay, then yeah.
Eggman was technically,
Yeah.
not in a way that they like super set up. I mean, we all thought he was dead after Sonic 2, and they kind of pulled a Eggman's alive type of thing, which I think was fine. Like, they didn't try to over explain it and they didn't do anything stupid with it, so I
Yeah.
was fine to accept it. But Eggman definitely is like kind of the peak
Okay.
pinnacle,
Yeah.
iconic Sonic villain.
Yeah.
And Shadow is definitely up there as well. So I feel like if they were going to do any sort of multiple movie approach with a villain, that's more like a not an Eggman, but more like a Shadow or like a Knuckles or whatever, it would have been with Shadow
Okay.
and not with Metal Sonic. It would have been stupid for them to use Shadow for 1 movie and then use Metal Sonic for 3.
Yeah.
It also depends on how they approach Metal Sonic because they introduced a lot of Metal Sonics. Um, and so how they decide what they're actually going to do with that will be the most interesting thing. And there's still a lot more characters for them to mess with. Like, they've just scratched the surface of where things can go, um, which is the exciting thing for me. Um, I guess I'll briefly say Metal
Go for it.
Sonic's animation in the post-credit scene was phenomenal. The way that he like actually moves is great. Just want to say that. I hope that we see more of Metal Sonic at some point. But anyways, to your original question, I don't think that they'll go the approach of one villain for multiple movies. I think, like you said, it's not really a trilogy as much as it is just a continual series that's going to
Yeah.
progress movie by movie. And I see them continuing that and not doing some sort of grand overarching storyline. But I just feel like they wouldn't put themselves in a box like that. Because there's lots of cool things that people want to see, um, not only with Sonic, but also like with crossovers in the future. Like people have talked about Mario and Sonic crossing over at some point in the future, which sounds insane, but like would be really cool if it happened. Or, you know, if they eventually did a Super Smash Bros. Movie or something like that when Nintendo finally decides to release more films. Um, anyways, kind of getting off track. I don't know the approach they'll go with, but right now it doesn't feel like they're going with a multiple movie villain setup.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I don't see that being the path forward. I want to talk about the second post-credit scene a little bit. I could have seen it coming. I don't see you doing Shadow once, as I think you just said, Ben. Shadow's a character that sticks around and becomes part of the I was gonna say triage, but I think that means three. So not that, but still becomes a
Quadrage.
part of the Sonic fan. I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that, okay? But yeah, I think he'll stick around, and that's the thing with like when you start like adding so many people to this, it kind of becomes like a little unbelievable. With you have to be very careful with who you're picking to be the next villain of certain things, because like if we're gonna have Tails, Knuckles, Sonic, Amy, Shadow, and like all of them fighting whatever next big bad, it might be a little bit unbelievable as to how they can't all just take them down extremely easily. But I'm excited to see them all come together for sure. Amy specifically, I'm excited to see her dynamic with Sonic and whatnot. So
They nailed their design, which is not
yeah,
shocking, but I mean, she looks exactly like you would think given what our other characters look like. But um, it is notable just because like so many people are talking about now, that original Sonic design, and now that that's led to a complete redesign and a trilogy that is loved by so many people, and we got Shadow, and I think I saw somebody do an edit of like what Shadow would look like in the original Sonic design, and it looked terrible, but um yeah, they did a great job. So I mean, I think we were all kind of expecting that and Shadow's return. I do think that question of like the trio of Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic has worked well with the Wachowski family. That dynamic has been fine, but I don't think it's just going to be as simple as like, oh, the Wachowskis taken Shadow and Amy, and all five of them are just going to be living together and then take down some sort of threat. That would feel a little silly. So what I hope they do is that as they bring in more characters, they can kind of have some like inner conflict between some of them. I think Shadow would be a key part of that. I think to what's the game? I mean, I think it's in a lot of games, but Sonic Heroes, where like there are different like teams of heroes. There's Team Sonic, and then I think it's Team Dark that Shadow was a part of with two other characters that haven't been introduced at this point. Um, so they have a lot of options, but at some point and I think they'll realize it, they can't just keep expanding and be like, oh, next movie, villain, we convinced the villain to be a good guy. He's a part of our happy little family. At some point, they're going to realize that that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I don't really doubt that they'll mess that up, to be honest, because so far that whole dynamic with the team and the family and whatnot has been a really good balance between, good guys and villains that come along. It hasn't been too much so far. So I think they'll continue with making the right choices with that. But who knows? I mean, there is like kind of many possibilities where you could take it in the future. Clearly they have a plan since Sonic 4 is already happening in, I guess, 2.5 years, which is unfortunate to say. Such a long time to wait.
We're crying. Sorry.
Bro.
I'm sorry.
I'm waiting for you to come at him, man.
Some people just aren't worth the effort. They're a lost cause.
Just tell him put the heals in the health bar, all right? This is my healer right here. I'm low on health. Guess who's right there? Oh, here, master. It's him. All right.
Hey, little bro.
Get back to
Keep
health.
big bro
Guess who's
healed
also
up.
guess
Keep
who's
big
also
bro
at the
healed
top
up.
of the leaderboard though?
Hey, keep Big Bro
Guess
healed
who's
up, all
always at the
right?
top of the leaderboard?
Keep big bro
Yeah.
healed up,
Keep
little
Big
bro.
Bro healed up.
Yeah. Who's always at the top of the leaderboard though? Most heals, most damage, most kills. That's crazy.
There will be
You're the healer and you got most heals? Oh, congratulations. You did your
But
job.
did you hear the other two? Did you hear the other two? Most damage, most kills. Huh? As a DPS, you would think he should be able to do that, huh? I guess he can't though, huh? He can't get it done.
guys, in the description of this video, there's going to be a link to a Discord server where you could play with me and Charlie if you like and raid his Discord. All right, that is it for Sonic 2 and or Sonic 3. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. That is it for our discussion. Great movie. Happy we got to cover it. Man, if we didn't cut What If from this episode, this would have 1,000% been 2.5 hours because I would have had a lot to say. But we'll save that for next week. Creature Commandos episode 6. Yeah, because we covered both of them today. Creature Commandos episode 6 and What If full season. And if there's some big news, we'll throw some big news in there. But if there isn't, then we can just keep it a nice, quick cover 2 shows episode. And so we'll see you back here next week. Again, like, comment, subscribe. You can text us, comment on here. Give us any feedback, what you thought about our Sonic 3 thoughts. If Charlie should just put the heels in the bag. Whatever it is that your heart desires, let us know in the comments down below or let us know in a text message. And Happy New Year to all. Happy late Christmas to everybody who celebrates. Next time you see us, it'll be 2025. That'll be awesome. Coming up on 2 years of having this podcast going. Pretty cool. All right.
But I've been 2 years of wishing I never had.
And with all of that being said, we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Adios.
Sayonara.